You know, I promised myself I wouldn't make this channel strictly about the Second Amendment. But here I am, doing another Second Amendment video. Thanks, Obama.
You're welcome.
That was sarcasm, you asshat.
I'm sorry.
You're damn right you're sorry. Now go back to your idiot hole. Welcome to ScottyTalkz. First, I'd like to apologize for missing my scheduled video. And the next one. And the next one. And, well, here we are now. I really don't have a great excuse. You know, the one that everybody has. Holidays got in the way. Family. Money. Bureaucracy. Idiot drivers on the interstate. Learn how to drive, asshole! Sorry. I forgot I wasn't there for a second. So we all saw it coming. Obama can't get traction on one of his idiotic ideas. So what's he do? He writes an executive order, bypassing Congress, stepping on the toes of the people, and here we are now talking about it. This time, gun control. We've heard him raving about it for months. We all knew it was going to happen. Just didn't realize that it wouldn't be such a big deal. I mean, sure, violation of his oath to uphold the Constitution and all that, but other than that, nothing's really changed. I mean, all this talk from a man who is a paper tiger. I mean, he doesn't fight terrorism, he doesn't secure the border, he can't get a bunch of guys who took over a reserve in Oregon to come out. But we're supposed to trust him to keep our country safe. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with the protests that's going on in Oregon. I support that wholeheartedly. I think the BLM is way overstepping their bounds, but that's for another video. Okay, so he justifies this executive order by saying that there's a national consensus that supports it. But is there really? I mean, the more he pushes gun control, the more gun sales go up and up and up. In fact, just recently, for the month of December, we had a record high of gun sales. They sold more guns than any month in previous for the past 18 years. Doesn't that say something, Mr. President? Really? I mean, if gun control was so popular and there was such a consensus, wouldn't there be less people buying guns? Gah! So I want to take you to a clip from the announcement of these executive actions. Or the one. Nobody really knows. Nobody really cares either. It's not going to be easy to watch because there's so much bullcrap that you're going to have to sift through it with a pitchfork. But we'll try. We'll do our best. Here goes.
I've said this over and over again. This also becomes routine. There's a ritual about this whole thing that I have to do. I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
Which paper is that, Mr. President? The newspaper? The wallpaper? Of course, the way you act might as well be toilet paper, right? I mean, Constitution, who follows that? Come on, really? Do we really even need that nowadays? I mean, what does it do? It protects a few measly rights. No big deal. None at all. None, no. Just...
It guarantees a right to bear arms. No matter how many times people try to twist my words around, I talk constitutional law. I know a little bit about this.
Every law student that he taught for his constitutional law class shouldn't be allowed to practice law. I mean, if he taught like he acts, these people are running around having no clue what the Constitution is. None! At all!
I get it. But I also believe that we can find ways to reduce gun violence consistent with the Second Amendment.
By giving out more guns, right? Because anything short of that would be an infringement on our constitutional right. I mean, take a look at the amendment. I'll pull it right up on the screen for you. You can read it for yourself. And then you can make some sense of it. It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
I mean, think about it. We all believe in the First Amendment, the guarantee of free speech, but we accept that you can't yell fire in a theater. We understand there are some constraints on our freedom in order to protect innocent people.
See, this is the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard for attacking the Second Amendment. The problem with yelling fire in a crowded theater is that it's a call to action. You can still say it. You're allowed to say it. But you're responsible for what happens afterwards. Just like if you convinced a mob of people to go and kill someone, you still go to jail for conspiracy because it was your words that inspired them to commit the crime. Just like it would be your words that inspired the panic that caused that little boy and that old woman to get trampled to death in the movie theater.
We cherish our right to privacy, but we accept that you have to go through metal detectors before being allowed to board a plane.
No, Barry, you're confusing the right to travel with the privilege of flying, because make no mistake, flying is a privilege, it's not a right. It's like driving a car. You have to pass a test, prove you're safe. You have to pass a test, prove you're safe to get on the plane, so you don't blow it up! I mean, we did have some folks do that.
And what's often ignored in this debate is that a majority of gun owners actually agree.
Really? There's a bunch of gun owners out there who actually agree with you? Point them out. In fact, I'm going to issue an open challenge to anybody who watches this video. If you agree with Obama's ideas and you own a gun, please send me a message on Facebook, Twitter, or leave a comment in the section below. We'll get together, I'll have you on for a Skype interview, and we'll see where it goes. I'd love to talk to you about this.
A majority of gun owners agree that we can respect the Second Amendment while keeping an irresponsible, law-breaking few from inflicting harm on a massive scale.
Oh wait, do you mean to tell me that all this executive action stuff, it was for stuff that already existed, like the background check system? Oh well, then never mind. This video is completely irrelevant. You can stop watching now. You shouldn't though, you really shouldn't.
Today, background checks are required at gun stores.
True.
If a father wants to teach his daughter how to hunt, he can walk into a gun store, get a background check, purchase his weapon safely and responsibly.
True.
This is not seen as an infringement on the Second Amendment.
False. But it is seen as a reasonable infringement, and that's why we support the background check system. Nobody's arguing that we shouldn't have background checks, except for maybe the criminals.
Contrary to the claims of what some gun rights proponents have suggested, this hasn't been the first step in some slippery slope to mass confiscation.
Oh, of course not.
Contrary to claims of some presidential candidates apparently before this meeting, this is not a plot to take away everybody's guns. You pass a background check, you purchase a firearm.
So, the same as it is now.
The problem is some gun sellers have been operating under a different set of rules. A violent felon can buy the exact same weapon over the internet with no background check, no questions asked.
Liar! Lies! Lies! No gun dealer operates under those rules, and a felon still can't buy a gun on the internet. Still against the law. You misleading people doesn't change that.
So we've created a system in which dangerous people are allowed to play by a different set of rules than a responsible gun owner who buys his or her gun the right way and subjects themselves to a background check.
No, we haven't, you moron! Criminals break the law. That's what they do. They're criminals.
That doesn't make sense. Everybody should have to abide by the same rules. Most Americans and gun owners agree.
That's true. We all agree that we should all abide by the same rules. And we do. Except in some cases. Obamacare.
Each time this comes up, we are fed the excuse that common sense reforms like background checks might not have stopped the last massacre, or the one before that, or the one before.
The word you're looking for is wouldn't. They absolutely wouldn't have stopped any of the mass shootings. None. Zero. Zip nada. Not a one. Never will. Never could. No matter how much you wish in your little fantasy land of the phone pen. Speaking, by the way, I have a phone. I have a pen. Can I make laws? No, I can't. Congress can make laws. You can't make laws. I can't make laws. Congress makes the laws.
I reject that thinking.
We know you've rejected logical thought and common sense. It was practically a re-election platform for 2012.
As Ronald Reagan once said, if mandatory background checks could save more lives, it would be well worth making it the law of the land.
And it is the law of the land. So, why you bitching? Why?
The bill before Congress 3 years ago met that test.
Actually, it was an overreach, but I can see why you're mad. No one likes losing.
Unfortunately, too many senators failed theirs.
Sore loser.
After Connecticut passed a law requiring background checks and gun safety courses, gun deaths decreased by 40%. 40%.
But it still wouldn't have stopped the massacre at Sandy Hook. So stop standing on the graves of dead kids!
Meanwhile, since Missouri repealed a law requiring comprehensive background checks and purchase permits, gun deaths have increased to an almost 50% higher than the national average.
This is a diversionary tactic that Obama uses all the time. What he does is he takes one set of stats that are related, and then he takes another set of stats that are not related, and compares them to win his argument. In this case, it's comparing Connecticut's gun crime rate to Connecticut's gun crime rate. And then he compares Missouri's gun crime rate to the national gun crime rate. Obviously, one of those stats isn't going to measure up because the rest of the country balances it out. So he goes on for a few minutes about how Republicans are making research into gun violence harder and blah 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 and other bullshit like that. We all know it's not true, but it soothes his ego to think so. And then he plays the whole already tired old argument here. Watch.
Even after San Bernardino, they've refused to make it harder for terrorist suspects who can't get on a plane to buy semi-automatic weapons.
See, I covered this in my last video. Click here to watch it now, or you can wait until the end of this video, and I will include the link to that one in the description below. So he goes on for a few more minutes, tugging on heartstrings and trying to blame Congress and the Republicans and guns for the violence. But finally we get to the meat of the subject, the actual actions themselves.
Number one, anybody in the business of selling firearms must get a license and conduct background checks or be subject to criminal prosecutions.
Already the case. You wasted your time.
It doesn't matter whether you're doing it over the internet or at a gun show. It's not where you do it, but what you do.
Again, already the law.
We're also expanding background checks to cover violent criminals who who try to buy some of the most dangerous firearms by hiding behind trusts and corporations and various cutouts.
Already a law? I mean, seriously, are you even paying attention at this point?
We're also taking steps to make the background check system more efficient. Under the guidance of Jim Comey and the FBI and our Deputy Director, Tom Brandon at ATF, we're going to hire more folks to process applications faster, and we're going to bring an outdated background check system into the 21st century.
I don't know. Instant background checks seem pretty efficient to me. I mean, after all, they are instant.
And these steps will actually lead to a smoother process for law-abiding gun owners, a smoother process for responsible gun dealers, a stronger process for protecting the people from the public from dangerous people. So that's number one.
But you didn't actually do anything!
Number two, we're going to do everything we can to ensure the smart and effective enforcement of gun safety laws that are already on the books.
That'd be nice.
Which means we're going to add 200 more ATF agents and investigators.
Wait, more oversight? Doesn't that just slow things down?
We're going to require firearms dealers to report more lost or stolen guns on a timely basis.
Don't they already do that? I mean, it'd be dumb not to.
Number three, we're going to do more to help those suffering from mental illness get the help that they need.
Great! That'll help a lot. Just don't spend too much on it, because we're already up to our eyes in debt because of you.
High-profile mass shootings tend to shine a light on those few mentally unstable people who inflict harm on others, but the truth is that nearly 2 in 3 gun deaths are from suicides.
True, more people kill themselves than people who kill others. But if they couldn't kill themselves with guns, wouldn't they use other things? You know, ropes to hang themselves, cars, drownings, bridges, tall buildings. I don't know how people are doing it now, standing on their head, holding their breath too long.
That's why we're going to invest $500 million to expand access to treatment across the country.
We just talked about this. You're writing checks that you don't have the money to cash. In the financial world, that's bad.
It's also why we're going to ensure that federal mental health records are submitted to the background check system and remove barriers that prevent states from reporting relevant information.
Good, but that should be done anyway.
Number 4, we're going to boost gun safety technology.
How?
Now, today, many gun injuries and deaths are the result of legal guns that were stolen or misused or discharged accidentally.
That's true, but how?
Now, in the greatest, most technologically advanced nation on earth, there is no reason for this. We need to develop new technologies that make guns safer. If we can set it up so you can't unlock your phone unless you got the right fingerprint, why can't we do the same thing for our guns?
Well, who's going to pay for that?
If there's an app that can help us find a missing tablet, which happens to me often, the older I get. If we can do it for your iPad, there's no reason we can't do it with a stolen gun.
Yeah, but who's going to pay for it?
If a child can't open a bottle of aspirin, we should make sure that they can't pull a trigger on a gun.
2 things. Triggers and bottle tops for medication are completely different things. And who's going to pay for it?
So we're going to advance research. We're going to work with the private sector to update firearms technology.
How? And who is going to pay for it?
And some gun retailers are already stepping up by refusing to finalize a purchase without a complete background check, or by refraining from selling semi-automatic weapons or high-capacity magazines. And I hope that more retailers and more manufacturers join them.
No. And you still haven't answered my question. Who is going to pay for these amazing technological innovations that are going to make guns so much safer? Is it going to be you? Well, if you're going to pay for it, then I'm going to pay for it, because you don't spend your money, you spend my money, and your money, and your money, and your money, and your grandmother's money, and that money that your sister earned from selling a kidney. No, wait, that's black market money. There's no taxes on that. Never mind. She's safe.
Because they should care as much as anybody about a product that now kills almost as many Americans as car accidents.
Not even a little bit true. I mean, it's like comparing apples to oranges.
All of us should be able to work together to find a balance that declares the rest of our rights are also important. Second Amendment rights are important, but there are other rights that we care about as well. And we have to be able to balance them.
Great. I feel a self-righteous speech about a bunch of dead people and how their rights got trampled on coming on.
Because our right to worship freely and safely, that right was denied to Christians in Charleston, South Carolina. And that was denied Jews in Kansas City. And that was denied Muslims in Chapel Hill and Sikhs in Oak Creek. They had rights too.
Yep, I was right. Who else's grave are you going to stand on today, Barry?
Our right to peaceful assembly. That right was robbed from moviegoers in Aurora and Lafayette. Our unalienable right to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, those rights were stripped from college kids in Blacksburg and Santa Barbara, and from high schoolers at Columbine, and from first graders in Newtown.
And all of these rights could have been protected by exercising the Second Amendment right. That is why it's there.
First graders. And from every family who never imagined that their loved one would be taken from our lives by a bullet from a gun.
Oh, is he gonna cry? Oh, he's gonna cry. I think he's gonna cry. He's gonna cry, isn't he?
Every time I think about those kids, it gets me mad. And by the way, it happens on the streets of Chicago every day.
Oh, yep. He's crying. Fake tears. He doesn't give a crap about those kids. Not even a little bit. What he does care about is forcing his agenda down our throats. Shame on him. Shame on you, Barack Obama, for using murdered children to force an unconstitutional agenda that wouldn't have saved their lives at all. You should be removed.
So, all of us need to demand a Congress brave enough to stand up to the gun lobby's lies.
The gun lobby's lies. Well, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Oh. Yee, this is awkward.
All of us need to stand up and protect its citizens.
Yes, with guns.
All of us need to demand governors and legislators and businesses do their part to make our communities safer.
By defending schools with guns.
We need the wide majority of responsible gun owners who grieve with us every time this happens and feel like your views are not being properly represented to join with us to demand something better.
You are the one misrepresenting our views. You're the one trying to cram an agenda down our throat that we don't want. We voted against it several times. Congress won't pass it. It doesn't matter who's in there. You can't get any traction with this because it's simply un-American. So please, Mr. President, stop talking about things you don't understand. Well, that's all we have for you today, folks. Thank you for watching. Hopefully next time I won't be discussing guns, If you like what you saw, please like on Facebook, on Twitter, on here. Click subscribe. Leave a comment in the section below if you want to discuss something. I ain't got no problems talking about stuff. Please come back next time. This is Scotty. This is ScottyTalkz, and have a great day.